So I'm trying to evoke the best version of the music that will encapsulate everything that makes this show what it is.
Yeah. How you reckon you're going to do that?
Well, I was thinking, like some really just blazing metal, some good, heavy fast drums in there, just...
Some tunes.
Yeah, proper tunes, just like...
Proper tunes, what you listen to.
The kettle on, have a cup of tea, some be in the land of ramblers and strangers, or something like that.
Yeah, you got any other ideas?
Yeah, I was thinking, maybe like something more like soulful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been working on this one. I'll give that a play for you.
Things we've watched, things we've seen, things we've played through.
Oh yeah, that's quite a sound to it.
Yeah, well, that was what I was thinking. But how about this one? I've got one more one. It's a bit more sort of synthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll give it a go.
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura K. Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet. And welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers, that podcast where two queer trans ladies talk about our weeks and do some skits and have a giggle and a general catch-up. How are you doing?
How much ketchup?
Like a bottle's worth.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll keep you going for a couple of days at least.
How are you doing this week?
I'm alright.
Oh.
We've had a long weekend, but it didn't feel like it because there was a lot of working.
Yeah, it blew past.
It did, it went... I mean, you did a go away.
I went away for a little bit.
Yeah.
I had a lovely time doing an explore of mysterious places I shall not mention. I got to see some very nice weather, and some lovely trees. Yep. It was very nice.
Yeah.
And you were busy doing workings.
I was busy working, yeah. I did briefly pop out of the house once.
You left the house?
Briefly, while it was still not too explodey hot. And I spent most of it sat in front of my laptop trying to swap it onto opposite knees, just like you can be on that knee for 10 minutes and then that knee before just my whole lower region just boils.
Yeah, you've been working on a big project.
I've been coding that game I keep talking about.
Yeah, that text adventure you doing a work on.
Yeah.
You've had to do a lot of troubleshooting this week.
I sat down on, I think it was like Saturday morning, and I was like, I know, I'm going to probably finish this by this evening. I mean, the thing is, it's a text adventure. I've already typed in, pretty much all of the, objects. They all have the descriptions written. It's just a case of copying and pasting those in. I've already put the locations in. I've already put, lots of stuff. It's now just a case of going through and going, okay, I have all these items. I'm going to write a task to make these things do that thing, to combine things to make something else.
It's the codey bit now.
All the key and lock stuff.
Yes.
That makes a puzzle game. So, it's seemed to be going fine, and then I've just run into this random error where it's like, this thing is not inside or on another object. It's like, neither is that, and you pick that up.
But it's not in or on something. It was fine when items weren't in or on things before, but now they've got to be in or on things.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
You can have the acorns, but you cannot have that ball of string.
You have hit that wonderful stage of working with any game engine where it's like, oh, I've discovered the weird finicky things about this that I don't know how to fix.
Yeah, I'm working through.
Yeah, you've found solutions to get around some things.
I put things in and on things.
Yeah.
And then in order to make sure that you could still see the thing when it was in and on something, I had to make special conditions for the description of the thing it was in or on.
Indeed, so that it would describe it as being in or on the thing, or not in or on the thing.
Yeah. It seems like an unnecessary extra step.
Yeah, but it works. So.
I've pretty much finished the whole section of the game. It's had a little bit of a playtest with somebody today, so I know a little bit about, hey, a person who's never played a text adventure before, how will you approach this given only just a small selection of commands?
Yeah.
The answer is, I need to do more writing.
That's fair.
I might need to put, a way of highlighting important text in or something.
Yeah. It's a thing you learn when you try and make games of any description is
How will people interact
the
with
things
this?
that you take for granted as someone who is literate with that particular genre of game, that you then realise, like, oh, not everyone knows this off the bat.
This is why I very much wanted somebody who'd never played a text adventure before to be the first one to go, here's a large chunk of game, please can you have a go at it?
Yeah, I think you made the right call there.
But yes, hopefully it will be finished in the next couple of weeks, and that'll go out to my my Patreons. So head on over to patreon.com/StonedMonkeyRadio, and you'll get a free copy of that. And then in like 3 months' time, I'll release it to everyone else because I don't want to be super gatekeepy about it.
That's fair, but
I want the people who have done a help to be appreciated.
I'm doing a big heckin' proud of you on this project.
I finally finished writing a game of a proper size.
Yay!
Whoop, whoop. What about you? What have you been playing with?
Shall I briefly talk about the thing that I've got running on the screen while
We're
we're
literally
recording?
playing Pokemon Let's Go right now.
I'm still
Ghastly.
plugging away with that the Master Trainer quest.
Yeah.
I'm currently trying to beat the Ghastly Master Trainer with my shiny Ghastly.
Ghastly.
Because I had that realization the other day when we were talking that I was like, it's only like 2 months until Sword and Shield come out.
Sword and Shield must have master everything.
I feel like I need to finish doing my master training. So I'm still fighting these master trainers. I'm getting there. I'm like, chronologically, I've done the first nearly 100, I think. Plus, I've done some, in that final 50, I've already gone ahead and done a bunch.
Oh, wow.
Like, I feel like I'm probably within about 20 Pokemon of being done.
So you going to stream the end of that?
When I get down to, like, the last 5, I'm probably going to go stream the last 5 Master Trainers. So, at some point, probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would hope, I'm going to finish this up. I want to get it finished up before, like, mid-September, so I've got a couple of months to play other things before I go back into Pokemon. What about you? What have you been playing?
I've done a lot of cubing and twisty puzzling this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about, was it a month ago, maybe slightly more, I finally took the X2 off the shelf.
Yeah!
I'm going to have a go at the X2.
And then you sort of made a whimpering sound for a second.
I made a considerable amount of whimpering noises. I managed to get it back into a cross shape.
Yeah.
Fairly quickly. That was quite a good thing. I managed to get, like, all but one side of it pretty much done.
Nice.
And then it sat there for a little while I just went, Arr. But recently I've been learning a different way of doing a 3x3.
This is your
cube.
first 2 layers at once method?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, the
PLL?
method is CFOP.
Oh, CFOP, sorry.
The method is CFOP, which is cross first 2 layers, orient last layer, and permute last layer. So what I used to do was a standard layer by layer method. So F2L's been really good for getting the first 2 layers in quickly. I'm learning the patterns of that and how to sort of solve that more quickly.
Yeah.
And because at first it was like, I've learnt a new method. I've slowed down considerably.
Yeah, just because you've not got that sort of familiarity.
Exactly.
It's not muscle memory yet.
Exactly. And like, you're not just going, where is the thing of one specific colour that I need to focus on? I'm going, okay, there's at least 3 colours I'm going to have to be concentrating on.
Yeah, it's a lot more to think about.
It is more to think about. And I'm getting better at sort of immediately recognising the patterns and how I need to move things.
Yeah.
My crosses got faster, which was a thing I've not done for a while. Like, I've made some improvements on how I solved the first cross.
Yay!
But some of the orient the last layer, permeate the last layer, things that have come up on that helped me get through the next 2 layers on the X-Cube.
Yeah.
So I was like, aha, I've done the thing. And I've done the thing, and I've put it back in its box, and it's going to sit on the shelf for at least another year before I touch it again.
You made it to the point where you had, like, 1 line left, and you sat for a couple of days like, I don't know how to do this without fucking it up.
I sat there just glaring at it for a while.
But you did it, and I'm super impressed. Like,
without
without looking up how to do it, you worked it out and did it.
I spent most of this weekend learning different permutation stuff for the last layers on a 3x3, and I feel like I've picked up some good stuff for doing the X2.
Yeah.
So I think I've done all right. It's a really odd puzzle.
Yeah.
It's very hard going, and it's doesn't turn super well.
No, like, it's not as likely to pop apart and, break as I think you initially worried it would be.
No, but it locks up rather than popping. And my main concern was it's going to pop and I'm going to have no idea what to do with it.
Yeah, if that thing popped, I'd just be like, well, we consider this one done.
Yeah, I guess that... I mean, I'd probably have a good go at trying to put it back together.
Yeah, but I would not blame you if it never went back together.
It's certainly an intimidating prospect. It's like popping a 17 by 17 and you just go... "Ah."
Well,
There's a lot here and it looks very similar.
yeah.
Yeah, so I did that, and I also got some new stickers from Oscar Stickers.
Oh, yes.
Oliver Stickers, sorry. I got a set of lenticular images that switch between two different soul states, and I also got a set of hide and seek stickers.
Yeah.
So when you look at them from one angle, you've got all the colours. When you look from another angle, it's completely black.
Yeah, that's quite a funky one.
Yeah, and also I got a treasure cube recently.
Yeah.
Finally got one of Oscar's treasure cubes. Because they've started doing them again.
Yeah, it seems real funky.
It is very funky. So basically, when you get it in a standard... It's a standard 3x3, but when you solve it, you can just pop one side off it.
Yeah.
And do it as a keepy thing. So I popped the hide and seek stickers on it to make it more difficult. And then I've made the solution to open it not a solved state.
Yeah. It's... Well, I suppose it's a solved state, but you're solving it into not the traditional solved state.
Yeah, it solves for opening, but it's not solved for stickers matching.
Yeah. It's quite a funky little thing you've put together. I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I stripped, cleaned and reassembled and lubricated
that one
and restickered an MF3.
It moves real nice.
It moves really very nice. It's a Moyo MF3, so it's a budget speed cube.
Yeah,
but like it's had some love on it now, and it feels like it moves really well. It's not too floaty. It doesn't pop. It corner cuts really nicely.
Yeah, it's what you want your cube to feel like.
Yeah, especially when you're only spending like under $5 on it.
That is running nicely for a cube.
That cube was under
range.
$5. I used to have a Diane like former world record holding cube, and I lost it at a house party, unfortunately. And like it did not move quite as well as that MF3 does now that I've fucked about with it.
Nice.
So yeah, what else have you played with?
Should we talk about that thing we played together this week?
We played a couple of things together this week.
Should we talk about the one that is... Well, it'll be out by the time people listen to this, but when we record, it's not out yet.
McGasp, but we're going to talk about the Dark Pictures anthology Man of Medan.
Yeah, you've memorised the full title.
I have. I wrote a whole review about it today.
Do you want to talk about it a little bit first?
So yeah, it's from the people that brought you Until Dawn.
Yeah.
Imagine if Until Dawn was the Telltale engine and we were just telling different horror stories in that same engine.
It's shorter than Until Dawn was. Like, it's... For a single playthrough, like, it varies depending on whether you play it in online co-op or local/single player.
Yes,
if you're playing...
we'll get to the whys of that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But, like, locally, it's probably about 5 hours, I reckon.
About that.
It's probably closer to 3.5 hours if you do it online co-op.
Yeah, because you get to play different scenes with your individual characters. So somebody might be on one side of the ship having one whole experience. Somebody else might be somewhere else exploring in something else entirely.
Yeah.
And that will be happening at the same time, but eventually decisions might affect each other and other things going on.
Should I talk a little bit about that? Because I did a playthrough in co-op mode.
Playthrough, yeah?
Yeah, so if you play in online co-op, like, you and... This was not a thing in Until Dawn. That was a single-player only game. And now what you'll do is sometimes you'll be in the same scene as your co-op partner, and you'll both be controlling two different characters in that scene. Sometimes the party will split, and it'll... a really early example is... 2 characters go diving under the water to go look at a shipwreck, and 2 people stay up on the surface of the water and have a run-in with some other people in a boat. And then your 2 scenes converge back together, and you've both done things that the other player hasn't seen, and you have information the other player doesn't have, and it's up to you how much of that you choose to reveal in dialogue to the other person. It's really, really interesting. I will say, in the least spoilery way possible, I think if you're going to play this game, and I didn't expect myself to say this, when I started playing, I think online co-op, without talking to the other player, is the best way to have your first playthrough of this game.
I think you might be right.
I think there is one particular scene, and I think you know what I'm on about.
Know exactly what you're talking about.
Where they really, really, really make good use of the fact that you and this other player are off doing completely different things, you have no clue where the other person is, and then something happens. And it's a really cool use of co-op in a sort of asynchronous horror experience.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we didn't have fun. Like, we played local co-op where we divvied up the characters. So, you got 3 of the characters, I got 2 of them, and every now and then it'd say, hand the controller to this person.
Yeah.
I think that was a really nice way to play together.
It was a lovely way to play together, and, I mentioned this in my review, the fact that when we played the first game, because it isn't specifically a multiplayer game, we were just going, we'll pass it between each other, and we'll pretty much make all of the decisions between us. If it's a big decision, and we've got, actual time, we'll go, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Whereas with this one, it was very much these are my characters, I'm going to play them, you're going to play your characters, and I think we got through that okay. We didn't really feel any great need to discuss those decisions.
I think it largely formalised, it gave us some ownership over these characters and made their decisions a bit more consistent, as opposed to when playing Until Dawn we sort of co-opt by sort of handing it back and forth when we felt like it. That occasionally 2 people would make different decisions about a character.
Yeah.
So there was something kind of nice about that.
Yeah. Although we did sort of talk between us about what sort of things we wanted the characters to do.
But it was nice to be ultimately this is my character and I make this choice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was good to do that. It was good to also just be sitting next to each other and just working through it. What are you making of the plot?
Yeah.
Because the plot is interesting. We're not going to talk about it.
No.
But the plot is interesting, and it's nice to do that. I looked in every corner I could find, clicked on every shiny thing, and unravelled I don't know how much of the story, but it felt like we got a good chunk of the story this time.
I feel like we on this playthrough we did together, which was my second full playthrough. I feel like we really got to the bottom of what was happening, and we saw we understood what had happened in some mysterious events.
Yes. And it does it really interestingly. Also, it was quite nice that you had that sort of no stakes section at the beginning, where it was just learn the mechanics.
Yes.
Learn how to do this. The game is going to ask you to do this thing, this thing, this thing. These are pretty much all of the things you need to know. And don't worry about this.
Yeah. One thing I thought was interesting was Until Dawn had something like that, but it was much more long and drawn out. Until Dawn really revelled for a long time in its teens just hanging out on the mountain, walking around.
Yeah.
I feel like this gets to its action at a much better pace.
I feel like that Until Dawn, because it knew it was going to be taking more time, I think it did, tension building really interestingly.
Yeah.
Whereas this actually does feel like just sitting and watching, a horror movie.
Yeah, it's a little longer than a horror film would be, but, it has much more...
It's got some agency.
It's got the pacing of a horror film as opposed to a horror TV series.
Yes, and Until Dawn very much felt like something to play in chapters.
Yeah.
Because I think we took, nearly a week to do that?
Yeah, whereas this, we played it in 2 sittings just because I had to go to bed, early for a thing. But, we could totally have played this through on a Saturday, and I think that's the best way to do it, honestly.
I do quite like the idea of maybe getting some friends round and doing a full 5-player.
Oh yeah,
movie night.
I can think of some friends it would be really fun to invite round for this.
You're talking about the nerds.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, but I think that by virtue of it being shorter as well, it definitely lends itself more to Yeah, I'll replay that. Because I've not managed to get all of the people alive to the end yet, and I know what I have to do to do it.
I'm pretty sure I could work out how to do that
Yeah,
now.
like, one of them, I know there's a specific thing, it's really easy, I just have to do a thing.
Yep.
And two of them, I'm like, I just have to not do this thing that fucked up, or do better at this QuickTime event.
Yeah, I mean, and that's sort of another thing that we... Like, you talked about doing a genocide run for Until Dawn, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I quite like the idea that in this one, like, it feels more like you could do different versions of a horror movie. You could do, like, the lone survivor, like, and then they left the ship and survived, but they will be forever changed by the horrors they encountered.
Yeah, and I know I already have a character in mind that it'd be really fun to do that with, I think. Yeah, I was thinking...
Oh, okay.
Perhaps. Yeah, I like that we both have different thoughts on that, though. But, yeah, I really like that game. I thought it was real fun.
Yeah, and I'd definitely be up for playing more of it, and just sort of seeing what to do, because I don't think we found all of the secrets.
Oh, God, no. Like, there's
a huge sheet of, like, have you found the secrets? Have you found them on this playthrough?
There's some really cool, like, documentaries and things you can unlock, but you have to find all the secrets, and I've not found all the secrets.
No.
And I want to watch these documentaries.
Yeah, like, I'd be interested to sort of go through and try and find more of that stuff, and see how much you can explore, and like seeing if you can get everyone to survive, see how quickly you can get everyone killed.
I feel like there's things that like I definitely haven't tried that might help find more of those secrets. Like there's that one character who for us wasn't in the big ship for most of the game, who we could maybe have brought onto the big ship with us, and that might have unlocked some things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this character could or could not be here at this time.
Yeah.
That I would like to see how it pans out.
Lots of people running around an old rusty ship with no shoes on.
Yeah.
Which feels like a quick way to get tetanus.
And the last thing I think is because it's shorter, I've not played enough playthroughs of this to know for sure. It feels like this has more places it could branch.
Theoretically, I suppose.
I feel like there is more fanning out in how this can play out a little bit.
I would like to see the ending we didn't get.
Yeah.
Because we talked about a thing we encountered that we could have pursued a little bit more and got more out of.
Yes.
But I was afraid about what that might actually mean.
Yeah, same.
I would be interested to see what that ending is.
I definitely have some things I want to explore, and I'm up for playing this with you more again. And I'm up for inviting a bunch of friends around and doing this as a group. I think we need to do these things.
We need the nerds over.
I think we need to get the nerds
Send
over.
in the nerds!
Send in the nerds! What else have you been playing?
Well, I played some of that Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh yeah, I've been playing more of that Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
How are you getting on with it so far?
Oh no, I'm trying Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, you don't have to be. There is zero problem if you don't like that game.
I know, but you really love it.
Yeah, but we don't have to love the same things. I still don't fucking get how the combat system in Magic the Gathering is supposed to be fun.
Because it doesn't work anything like the one in Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, I know.
It works quite the opposite.
Yeah, and my brain gets very confused by that.
I know, I've seen you play it.
I enjoy playing Magic with you. I still can't fucking understand how to combat.
I prefer playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With you than against the computer, but I can see like a lot of the value in it, like having a full set of cards. Having access to being able to like make all of the different decks without like a microtransaction economy in it. Like the value of like the cutscenes. I guess I mean I didn't watch a lot of the series. I watched some of GX. I don't know if people who were into the series would be like, hey, I remember that from the thing, and this is like a fun thing.
Here's what I'll say, like, going through that story mode for the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah,
it's a lot of memorable moments, and a lot of, oh yeah, that was a cool thing. These sort of static image vignettes do not do justice to, like, they strip a lot of these moments of the drama that made them interesting. Like, it's bullet point retellings that's like, you kind of skimmed over what made that interesting. But you've made me nostalgically remember a thing I really like.
Yeah, by the time I got to like the 7th or 8th main on Yu-Gi-Oh! I was like, I'm just gonna skip this.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Yeah. See, here's what I would say might be of value for you if before you put this game down totally.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've not put it down totally.
Yeah.
I've still got a review to write.
Yeah, well, I would say go play the first story mission of each of the arcs.
Oh, I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've gone through the missions that go,
Yeah.
here's how these mechanics work.
Yeah, and I've looked at them and gone, oh Jesus, I know why she stopped playing.
Yeah.
Ah!
See, I've had the opposite situation. I feel like I understand those mechanics a lot better. Like,
Oh, I understood them. I just went, that's a lot to like the XYZ summons.
yes.
Like that. The tutorial for that was like, okay, put down this. All right, I'll put down this. Okay, now do this. Now you can XYZ summon these and use those as material. Now we're gonna throw those away, and this is gonna happen. But now you can get those back and do this and with this and that and that.
So,
and I'm like,
yeah.
this tutorial's batshit.
It is batshit. Here's what I would say. I was deep enough into Yu-Gi-Oh! That I got on okay with those tutorials. What I might do is give you the friendly version of those tutorials at some point. Like, if we've got a free morning at some point, maybe do some Yu-Gi-Oh! Again and go, let's try one more time, and I will get some decks out and explain it in a less terrifying way than this game did.
I think it wasn't so much that I didn't get the fact that, like, you lay the things and the things have value and you use them as a foundation for your XYZ summon.
Yeah.
It was when it started going, but you could be thinking 7 moves ahead and going, but you're going to get that back and you're going to do this and you're going to do that and then this and this and this is going to do that to that. And then you're just going to just summon one thing on top of another thing on top of another thing.
Yeah. So, it does try and throw you into here's what the high-level applications of that are. A little too early, I think. But, like, I've been really enjoying the story mode mainly as a way to go, like, let's gently ramp up the complexity of how many moves ahead you need to think on this mechanic. And as you go, you'll pick it up. Like, I've just reached... I finished the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Campaign in this, and I unlocked a bunch of, like, challenge this character from the anime series, but with, like, a very strong deck that they have. And it's the first time I've gone through and tried to make a deck myself. And I've not done a lot with those new mechanics, but I have, like... The deck I've built has, like, one XYZ monster, it's got one Synchro monster, and it's got one Link monster, I think. And I've put, like, one of each in, so I'm like, I will just practice getting that one out and doing its thing, and getting myself comfortable with those mechanics. And I already feel a lot less daunted by them than I did a month ago.
How are you finding the auto assist with deck building?
Super useful.
It sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, so the kind of deck I wanted to build is I kept getting a bunch of really cool support cards for the Red Eyes Black Dragon. And I noticed I kept getting a lot of cards that said Red Eyes in the name, so I was like, okay, let's find a Red Eyes in my card collection, hit the button to see all the related cards, and it just pulled up every card that in some way interacts with that Red Eyes. So it was a lot of, like, this will bring any Red Eyes monster back from the graveyard as long as you've got a Red Eyes out already, and this one will let you put Red Eyes from your deck into your graveyard so that other one can bring them back. This one... If it's this one gets powered up for every Red Eyes you have on the field and in your graveyard. It was a lot of things like, do you want to build a deck around this card? Here's all the cards that will do cool shit with it and will help it happen. And it really helped me to put together a deck that I feel is, like, pretty decent.
I mean, that when we were talking about that option, I was like, that sounds like a really good idea and something, like, if I ever get that far, I would be really interested to experiment with.
Yeah.
I had a couple of issues, like, I wanted an option to just click on my deck and have a look through my deck and go, okay, what would I do with this as these cards come up?
Yes.
Like, it feels like the only planning ahead you get to do is the fact that you can see your side bench and just go, okay, well, I guess I need to find that and that to summon that and that to summon that.
I feel like part of the problem, and maybe the disconnect we have on the story mode missions, is I've seen a lot of these decks played out in the anime, and I know, like, okay, I remember what that deck's end goal was.
Yes.
Which it doesn't do a good job of teaching you that as someone who's not seen the anime.
No.
Like, realistically...
The best I knew was, like, when we were playing that first match, and I was like, that's a leg. I reckon that's Exodia. I know that thing about the Yu-Gi-Oh!
This is why, like, so I got given, when I went to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championships, a starter deck.
A Blue Eyes Saga of Blue Eyes White Dragon.
It's a bunch of cards that work around Blue Eyes, and I had a look in there. It's got some paperwork that go, it's what the Pokemon decks, starter decks do, where it goes, here is, like, the main things that your deck does that you want to be trying to do. Yeah. And, like, that's what the game kind of needs for you.
Magic the Gathering, like, the pre-built decks do that as well. Like, here are the things, this is what you want to try and be setting up to do this.
Yeah.
This is what your deck is really good at. This is what you will be good at countering against.
Yeah. I feel like I would love a version of this game to exist for Magic the Gathering, because I think the thing that would get me over my hump with how the battle system works in Magic is to just play a bunch of games against a computer, so I'm not feeling bad about the fact that I keep not understanding what I'm doing. Like, something like this for Magic, I think, would really help me.
I mean, there are Magic the Gathering games like the I've got one or two on Steam, like the 2007 version.
And they're not too microtransaction-y?
I mean, I believe microtransactions exist, but you don't have to do them.
Yeah.
Like, it has a campaign mode. And the computer doesn't play too badly, especially for, somebody who is new at the game. Another problem I had with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I don't know if it's just because I was still quite early in the campaign.
Yeah. But
it felt like you could start a game, and just like when we were playing those Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed decks, it's like, things have gone real bad real quick.
Yeah.
And then, like, you might just find that all it takes is just like, I just had a really good draw at the beginning. I'm wiping the floor with this person. They've got no comeback.
Yeah. So, I think part of this is over-reliance on trying to mimic the decks from the anime. Mm-hmm. This was honestly, like, being critical of the show. There was a big problem with that anime when it started where...
They just made shit up.
Well, more so even than that. The decks that the characters on the show used were in no way... There was no thought into making them balanced decks that would work well in actual play.
Yeah.
Because of this magical thing called the Heart of the Cards, the whole, if you believe hard enough, you'll draw the exact card you need. They really didn't focus on deck balance.
Right.
And a lot of those early series decks were built around very specific things that you needed multiple steps to pull off, and that really didn't work nicely.
So that it made a good tense anime, like, aha, I have done the thing that does the thing, haha.
Yeah, so, like, and this problem even kind of persists in a couple of the very late missions in the story. Mm-hmm. The very, very, the penultimate mission on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Story is one where you're going up like a really, really big bad, and they want you to use a deck that's going to be like, you're going to get the equivalent of all three of the god cards out, and you're going to do this, that, and the other, and all your fancy shit. What that deck lacks is basic monsters that are 4 stars and have a decent number of attack or defense, so that you have...
Something to bolster you until you can pull out the
Yeah, something that's like, on my turn, I can put out something that will keep me alive for a turn.
Yeah.
Like, because you don't need a balanced deck when you always in the anime draw exactly the card you need to do your cool shit.
Yeah. Because the anime didn't seem to really care about 4-star or...
Yeah, which is honestly why I've been enjoying more, like, now I've gone in and built my own deck, where I went, okay, I'm going to pick a monster, here, Red Eyes, find all the cards that work with it. Like, my deck is mostly 4-star dragons that when they're destroyed will do something... Like, they have decent stats, so they probably won't die straight away. And if they do die, they do something to progress getting me towards my big monster.
Yeah.
So, like, some of them, if they're destroyed, will get me a magic or trap from my deck, which will let me, like, look through and find something that will, do that. Or some of them will let me... special summon a Red Eyes monster from my graveyard, and, I've got some that send them to the graveyard, so I can use that to get it back. Mm-hmm. Everything I have is working me towards something.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, I have to luck out and get the right thing. It's,
Yeah.
no matter what I get, it will in some way move me toward my end goal.
Yeah, and I think perhaps that is why I prefer playing in person with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not good at it, because, again, I don't really have the strategies for it. But, like, I feel like most, except with those speed decks,
Yeah,
like, there is a chance for a bit of give and take in combat, as opposed to just going, I drew badly. Like, I had a reasonable hand to start with, but that didn't really take me anywhere, and then it just went to shit from there.
Yeah,
In about 6 moves.
yeah, I can super understand that. Like, this Blue Eyes deck that I've got here,
Ooh, it's a pretty blue eye.
it's a very pretty Blue Eyes.
Shiny.
Its main things are, you have the Blue Eyes, which is your big attacker.
Yep.
You've got this Maiden with the Blue Eyes that is very easy to get out, and if someone tries to attack it, you can use it to get a Blue Eyes out.
Oh, heck.
You've got this Dragon Shrine that lets you send a dragon to the graveyard, which helps you to get it back. Some just very strong dragons that are 4 stars, so you've got something to defend yourself with.
It's a fan.
More things that help you get your Blue Eyes. It's a lot of stuff that all works towards that. Works to your Blue Eyes, that works towards your Blue Eyes.
Yeah, another
that gets
multiple
you a
blue
Blue
eyes
Eyes.
in there?
There's just the one
Okay.
in this deck, but as you see, it's a lot of cards that have Blue Eyes on them and go, this helps your Blue Eyes do something, this helps you get your Blue Eyes,
Helps all blue eyes.
this helps you get your Blue Eyes back out the grave if it's killed, this powers up your dragons, it's all stuff that, like, works towards something.
Yeah, the closest I found with that was playing one of the reverse games.
Yeah.
In early Yu-Gi-Oh! The bug deck.
Yeah, Weevil. I really enjoyed Weevil's deck, actually.
Weevil's deck, like, seems to, like, have good, like, synergy and stuff.
His is honestly...
do these things work together?
Yeah,
And-
his is honestly the first that really does that.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a lot of cards that go, help you get your bugs into your hand.
And they're going to be better because of,
Yeah.
like, a landscape or
Your
arena?
field. Your field spell, yeah.
Yeah, like you're having your field spell and then like having things that specifically target.
Yeah, and
like,
he's got
all
his
the
really
bugs.
strong moth monster and like some really easy
I wouldn't
ways
even
to get it
to
out.
that, but just
Oh,
like
yeah.
the combination of other things worked really well together.
Yeah, it bought you time, even if you didn't have his top end thing. Like, yeah, his is a really nice deck. I will agree with you on that. I had a lot of fun playing with Weevil's deck. I'd be up for playing more Yu-Gi-Oh! At some point.
Yeah.
It's. I've got a lot out of this Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, mainly because nostalgia and, like, it's given me the opportunity to play lots and lots of Yu-Gi-Oh! Relearning how to get comfortable with those new rules in an environment where I'm not going to get shouted at by nerds that go, oh, why are you taking so long? Don't you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Because the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community is not always the most welcoming to people who need a second to go, do you mind if I look at your card and explain to you what you're doing? Well, like, say, the Pokemon card community is not so bad. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Community's real bad.
I feel like the Pokemon community is, at both ends, it's like younger and sweeter, and then sort of like the softer side of older people.
Yeah, it's...
Whereas I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably is a little bit edgier.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
The hair's pointy.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards have infinitely more text on them, and people get really annoyed at you if you want to stop and read what a card does.
You should know what this does.
Oh, you know what's a really useful thing I worked out if you're going to keep playing it? At any time, you can press X, and it'll stop and go, do you want to stop and read what a card just did?
Yeah.
And that's really useful for when a person does, like, a bunch of shit and you're like, the fuck did you do?
What just happened?
As soon as, like, they do a thing and you don't understand what they did, press X, and it'll pause so you can read the card.
That would have been quite handy the other day, actually, because there was one that just opening Gambit seemed to involve like 9 different cards. I was like, what the fuck just happened?
I didn't discover it till really late in the game, and it really helped me to understand some of the more complicated things that were happening at the end. So hopefully that'll help you.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So what's that? Yu-Gi-Oh!
Legacy of the Duelist, Link Evolution?
There you go.
Yeah. I've been having a lot of fun with it.
It's alright, and I imagine if you are very into Yu-Gi-Oh! You'll probably get a lot more out of it than I did.
It's reigniting my love of those mechanics, and I've not felt afraid to mess around with the new mechanics enough that those several starter decks we have around the house, I could now probably get one of them out next time we want to play and go, okay, I know this looks intimidating, but here's how this deck works and how that summon works for this deck. Mm-hmm. And make it something digestible. We need to play more Magic the Gathering at some point.
We really do. But, summer's over now. Party season is coming to a close.
Indeed. And
so hopefully we'll get more time to sit around and go, let's play card games and board games. Because we have a lot of board games coming.
Oh, God, we do.
So many of my Kickstarters are coming in. I got a thing the other day about War of the Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited for that. That is apparently, in shipping and will probably be here by, mid to late September.
Heck.
So I'm very excited to play that.
I need to build my own Magic deck at some point. That's a thing.
Well, if you pick colour or colours that you want, I've never used any of the blue cards.
I will have a look through the blue cards, maybe.
We can discuss what kind of what colours work for you.
Indeed.
And go through them.
Well, maybe have a look at some point.
I'll even let you pull apart some of my other decks.
Oh no, I can't do that.
Yeah, you can.
No.
Yeah, you can. I give permission.
That feels like too intimate. No. We've done many intimate things, but that too intimate.
You've had your fingers up me, but goodness no, I'm not pulling your green deck apart. As long as it's not the black and white deck.
Yeah,
as long as it's not my baby.
No, that's your baby.
That's my baby.
That's your baby. Yeah, have you played anything else this week?
No, that is all the things what I have done to play of.
I've played a couple of other things to rattle through quickly. I've started playing through the demo of Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age S.
This is the one that you get 10 hours and it saves you.
So I'd heard quotes of 10 hours. I believe I've heard other quotes that say on the low end 6 hours, and I think 6 hours is if you sort of power through the story. But your save progresses through to the main game, which is out in a month.
Okay.
So I'm 6 hours feels long enough for me to get a proper sense of, am I going to get into this RPG or not?
I don't know, it's a Squeenix RPG. 6 hours in, you probably haven't even met the actual antagonist yet.
Yeah, probably, but I feel like you've got enough room to go, what's the combat system, what's the narrative presentation like, what's the pacing like, what is the upgrade system like? You can get a feel for a lot of things, I think, in 6 hours.
And I do kind of crave, a Squeenix RPG, really.
I've been really craving...
With a nice active time battle.
Yeah, so I've not put much time in at all yet, and I'll talk about it a lot more next week, but yeah, this seems like a very complete demo. This is just... I felt like I was just jumping in at the start of the game. I really like the fact that you can toggle between the 3D and the top-down 2D stuff at will. Aww. That's really cute. You can toggle between the orchestrated music and the 8-bit music.
Ooh.
It seems well acted and presented right now. It runs really nicely on the Switch.
Nice.
I'm not far enough in to have real good opinions on, most of the things that make an RPG interesting, but that demo is selling me on the fact that this is a very high... This seems like a well-made port, at least. So next week I'll probably come back with more on that.
Hype.
I played some of Life is Strange Season 2, Episode 4.
How would that Life is Strange go?
I'm still working through it, but it's real interesting. So I think I've talked a little bit about Life is Strange 2 on this show before. The basic premise, for anyone who's unaware of it, is it's a choice-based adventure game in the vein of, your Telltale games, about an older brother looking after his younger brother, who turns out to have psychic powers. Basically, after a misunderstanding, a cop shoots your dad, and, oh shit, psychic brother kind of explodes and kills the cop.
Understandable.
And you and your little brother run off, because how the fuck you going to explain that your little brother used psychic powers to accidentally kill a cop without getting your brother locked up and put in some, Area 51 forever?
Experimented on terminated by the government.
So it's been this really nice series so far about the bonding between these two brothers. It's really... I really enjoy it in the same way narratively that I enjoyed the modern, the PS4 God of War remake, in that it was a really healthy and pleasant to experience male bonding experience. I very much enjoyed that a lot of the moral decisions are less about yourself and outcomes for you, but more about what kind of lessons are you teaching your little brother? The most recent episode has been really interesting in that, without spoiling too much, it is the first episode that has focused a lot less on that that same dynamic of teach your brother how to not get into trouble.
Yeah.
The character acting has been really strong in this one so far. I totally buy into the motivations going on, and I'm getting real invested in this story of these two brothers. It's real sweet. Also, the older brother you play as is totally a wolf furry, and it's adorable. Every time he has his little diary that he makes notes on the story, and he talks about his chronicling of the adventures they've been on is the story of the two wolf brothers. That go and do all these various things. It's like he's clearly a furry, and it's adorable. But yeah, that series has been. I wasn't sure I wanted more Life is Strange after the first one. I was like, I don't see how you. But they've done enough to differentiate this and to make it a very different kind of story, and I'm.
It's a story about people in extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah, it is a story about two people who have done nothing wrong, just trying to get away and start a new life and be decent people, but also survive. So that's been really lovely. And I think I've got one more to talk about. Let me just double check. Yes, so I played. Did you remember that game Her Story?
Yes.
A few years ago.
I own it. I've never got around to playing it.
Okay, so Her Story was a game released, I think, in like 2015. By a indie developer called Sam Barlow, and the whole idea is you were on this police computer database, searching for keywords, pulling up interrogation clips of this person accused of some pretty serious crimes, and trying to unravel the mystery of what happened by picking out keywords that were said in videos and going, ooh, maybe I'll search for that. New videos come up in which that thing is mentioned.
And then the game ends basically when you decide you've unraveled it.
Yeah, like there is a certain point where, like, there are certain clips that when you have seen them, the game will go, we think you have enough that you can work out the ending, but it won't make the game end at that point. It's, do you feel like you know enough? When you're ready, you can end then. And it doesn't tell you what the definitive answer is. It very much leaves you to piece together the narrative as best you can and interpret it how you want to, and to leave when you have an answer you're happy with, and talk to other people about what you thought.
It's an interesting way to do that kind of interactive fiction.
Yeah, it was very much like there is nothing else quite like it. And I was very excited, but also a little tentative about the follow-up, Telling Lies, which it follows a very similar format. Once again, you are typing keywords into a computer to find video clips to try and work out what happened in a narrative. But it's a very different pace of narrative. This time, rather than one person and it being clips you're meant to see, like, you know, police video clips, this is a laptop that has video calls, like basically Skype video recordings of 4 individuals. And these were never, like, you can tell these are not things that these people ever meant to be seen. They're, you know, quite intimate moments in some places. Like, it might be, you know, someone Skyping long distance a goodbye to someone and or goodnight to someone. Like, they're very personal moments. But what's really interesting about the framing of it is that you don't see both halves of the video conversation. You see the half that the person who is currently talking on camera. And you can find the other half of the conversation, but you'll need to work out what keywords to find the other half. So sometimes you will get, like, a good example of an interesting one is there's a lot of trying to interpret things that aren't words and try and understand the context of what you're seeing sometimes, which is the thing I struggle with, but I found really interesting in this context because I could just watch clips over and over until I got it. You might see someone who is sort of shrinking in a bit and looks like they're being shouted at and they're sort of very apologetic and, oh, well, no, I'm sorry. And not know why they're being shouted at, for example. And there's a lot of... You might know half of a conversation but be like, I have no idea what sparked this and I want to follow that. it did interesting things for the way I moved through the narrative, because I was often less concerned about the next plot point for this story person and more, I want to get more context on that conversation I just saw. Yeah, I want to get the other half so that I know better what happened there before I try and move on.
Yeah.
Because it's more plot threads, more characters, I found myself keeping physical notes more. Took me about 7 hours before I felt I was comfortable that I'd seen enough of the narrative that I felt I knew what was happening.
Yeah.
And I think I was about 3/4 of the way through finding the clip, so I think probably 10 hours to find everything. I probably could have stopped after about 5 hours, I think, but I kept going because I was like, I just want to wrap these things up. So there's one, I have one little bit of a complaint about it, and it's not even a huge complaint, but it's something to be aware of. There are certain games that occasionally make me feel a bit uneasy about playing them, because they deal with... The game mechanics require you to engage in some...
Voyeurism?
Invasion of privacy.
Yes.
Yeah, a normal lost phone was
Yes.
kind of like that for me.
Yeah,
It feels like you're digging through a lot of very private things that really are none of your fucking business.
Because you are.
Yeah, and, that is the sort of conceit. And it's not quite as bad as a normal lost phone in that regard, but, there are some moments where I was watching clips and going, I feel like this was never meant for me, and I feel and I feel like this was deliberate. I sometimes felt a bit awkward and uncomfortable and probably shouldn't have looked at that one. But, I feel like that is an important part of what it's doing. But you have to be okay with that going in. If you're the kind of person where you're going to go, oh no, this isn't for me, that might be a thing to bear in mind about this game. But it manages to capture a lot of what made her story great. It doesn't feel too much like it's retreading old ground. I was really impressed with it. My main worries about it feeling like, oh, this is just more her story, unfounded. It definitely feels like its own thing. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that's everything I've played.
Heckens. Well then, time for this. This was a very interesting decision to go on holiday, dear.
Well, I saw the name of the area.
Yes.
Yes, and I thought, well, we do like sherry.
Yes,
So-
very much so.
Why not go to what I assumed would be the home of all sherry,
Yes.
the sherry region of Spain?
Yes, I was expecting just a large vat, maybe a pool of sorts.
I was expecting, one of those sort of natural geysers that would sort of just spray the sherry up from underground.
Oh, that would have been beautiful.
Or, sherry hot
Sherry hot springs.
Yes.
Oh,
A sherry mountain stream. I was expecting
sherry hot tub.
the sherry just flowing from nature itself.
Indeed, whereas as nature intended with the sherry.
Indeed, but for the home of sherry, all
Yes.
I'm seeing is a lot of grapes.
It is an awful lot of grapes, isn't
And
it? Like
I-
vineyards as far as the eye can see.
And I've tried eating the grapes. They're not sherry flavoured.
No.
They're not getting me where I need to be.
No, they're almost winey, some would say.
Indeed, and they keep, chucking these sort of grapes in a big barrel, but it's just a big barrel of grapes. I don't see what all the fuss is about.
Indeed, no, I'm not seeing, well, essentially what I need. The sherry.
And I thought about, they've got some barrels that they've left the grapes around for a while, but, I don't
Yes.
want to open that up. That's just going to be old grapes.
Oh, exactly. Nobody wants old grapes.
No, I want sherry. I don't
I
want
want
old
fine
grapes.
aged sherry.
Yes, I want something alcoholic and drinkable and is not a grape.
Indeed.
Oh, absolute waste of our time. Let's
Absolutely.
not even bother checking out the distillery.
No, I
Wait.
mean,
Oh.
we've moved all this way. The idea of standing still anywhere seems a bit irrelevant now.
Off on we go.
Yes, okay.
Oh, I see all of you down there, enjoying your summer holidays in spite of my not being around. Oh, I hear what you say. I hear what you keep saying. Where's the sun? Why's this summer been so grey? Why's there been all this rain? Can't we have one sunny weekend in August? Just one. Oh, I hear you all down there scurrying around. I hear you. You know what? You want some sun? You want some sun? You can have all of the sun. All of the heat. All of the sun and heat. No clouds. Nothing. Just you like sunshine, right? You like sunshine, you like warmth, you like sunshine. What if I just go hot and sunny and just nothing else forever? No? Oh no, you're sweating. You're a little bit hot and bothered. You're having a bad time because there's no clouds and no rain and no wind and no shade, and you actually don't like it quite this hot. You just wanted it a little lukewarm. Well, tough luck. It's what you get for complaining for a little bit of rain in August. Sorry I can't be on positives all the time. Sorry I gotta let the clouds have a turn.
Thanks for letting us have a turn, by the way.
Oh, it's fine. They'll want you back soon enough.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
Ooh, let me check what I've watched this week. So because I've been on a bit of a Yu-Gi-Oh kick, because I did go to watch some Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and Netflix does not have it.
Oh no.
What they do have is Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, or Arc V, which is, I think, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Not the most recent series, it's the one where they introduced pendulum summons. So, as someone that really enjoyed the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh!, as cheesy as it was, it always felt like it was aiming for sort of like a teen audience. And GX onwards, as the series have gone on, really seem to have each season more and more and more aimed towards younger and younger audiences and sort of toned down the peril.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a bit of a barrier to watching this one. Also, there are some weird retconning where it seems to just sort of ignore that previous Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows ever existed, in that they will talk about very common summoning techniques from the original show as if they're brand new things that have only just been invented. Like, there's a whole point where, like, a character does a fusion summon, and someone's like, oh, fusion summoning? That's a rare, powerful technique that is not taught, and that no one knows that technique. How did you fusion summon? It's really fucking weird.
Where's it set chronologically? Is it maybe set before that?
No, because, like, there's a bunch of summoning types that don't exist yet in the original Yu-Gi-Oh!
Another universe?
Like, I feel like this has to exist in its own separate, disconnected universe, maybe, but it made for really weird watching in that, maybe it's just because, here's the thing, maybe they've just done it this way so that you can jump into this, having never seen a different Yu-Gi-Oh! Series and have it explained, but, like, it was a real turn-off to me as an existing fan to go, like, no, that's like the cornerstone. Like, Kaiba's been using that since fucking episode 1 to try and get his fucking Blue Eyes Ultimate out. Like, that's not a new thing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing anime interpretations of, like, hey, this is how this mechanic works. It was a fun way to, like, continue wrapping my head around these new summoning types. I don't know that I'm going to stick with it long term or anything.
No.
But I've kind of enjoyed watching a few episodes, even if it feels like it's teaching me to suck eggs at some points. What have you watched?
I watched that Static Cling that you watched last
Oh,
week.
heck! How did you find it?
It was really sweet. Like, I liked that it basically is about change.
Yeah.
It's, in every way, it's about change and people of the past dealing with that change and how perhaps Gen X fits into, like, millennial culture.
Yeah.
And how that do.
So, as a reminder, this is the Rocko's Modern Life Netflix reboot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it a reboot?
Or
is it just a one-off?
A one-off special, that's what I mean.
It's a one-off, which is almost also what the show is about.
Yeah, like,
It's a commentary on itself.
You see what I mean about,
nostalgia.
like... Yeah, it does an interesting job of talking about its own existence as a show that people have clamoured for to come back, but want to be different, but also want to be exactly the same.
Yes, and the fact that even when it happens, no one's really going to be happy with it.
Yeah.
Which isn't really true, because I really enjoyed
I
it,
think
and I like the original show.
I think everyone's been happy with it because it acknowledges that, like, hey, I know you want the old thing, but the times have changed, and, like...
The world has changed.
Yeah.
That doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah. What did you think of those couple of, not particularly inventive jokes about, like, there's a lot of Apple phones that come out. Oh, there's a Starbucks everywhere.
I mean, it's... From the point of view of those characters, those are things that would be relevant to them.
Yeah, it's...
Like, this is them discovering the world. So, like, although it's... I suppose it's kind of a cliche.
I'm glad that they move through it very quickly.
Yeah, I think they had to comment on it, but they move through it quickly enough. They don't dwell on that.
they knock the cliches out in like under 90 seconds and go, there you go, here's the cliches about the modern world. Now let's get into the interesting story.
Yeah.
And
the idea that like a miscalculation can destroy an entire company, like we do kind of live in that age where, although more digitally than as analog as it is in the show, like that could be pretty catastrophic for somebody. So yeah, like I like the idea that they did all of those things. I like to see like old characters brought back in interesting ways. It was the stuff with Rachel was really nicely handled.
yeah, I was so pleased with how well they handled that whole plot line.
And even when they had to do things like, well, they didn't have to, but like the fact that Mr. Big Head is initially just like, no.
Yeah, I think that they, considering the time span that they had, and the fact they were also trying to tell a story about bringing back TV shows after long periods of time, I think that they did a really good job of telling a well-balanced and nuanced story as best they could. Like, I don't think they could have done a better job with the time they had.
Yeah. I think they made a good use of it, and I hope maybe they'll do some more of this.
Yeah.
Maybe that's enough.
It was nice to see. It was nice to see the main characters respond the way they did, and it was nice to see those characters like brought into a modern setting, but still be kind of charming and sweet.
Yeah.
I'm glad that exists.
Proving that you don't have to be an arsehole to be from the past.
Yeah.
Even if
yes.
it's a little bit overwhelming sometimes.
I still love the fact that the characters from the past are the ones who respond the best to the thing.
Yeah. Definitely.
Indeed.
What about you? Have you got any others?
Well, there's a thing, I don't know if I've talked about it, I can't remember if I've talked about it yet, but I know you've watched as well this week, which is the, Invader Zim.
Yes, Enter the Florpus.
Enter the Florpus. That was really enjoyable.
It was really good.
It was another Nickelodeon rebooted, one-off show that, really landed the mark.
And people have wanted more Zim for fucking years.
Yeah, I didn't realise until looking back, for research, Invader Zim only got, 12 episodes.
No.
Let me Google the thing.
I thought it was 20-something episodes. I could be entirely wrong. Wow, really?
I think it was only 12, maybe 19.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was under 20 episodes.
2001, wow.
Well, maybe it was 27. So there's 20 in season 1 and...
there was 27.
Yeah, 27. But that's still, I didn't realise it was quite that low a number of episodes.
Yeah.
It didn't run for super long.
No. It didn't help that Jonan Vasquez kept upsetting Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah, no, he
was like, I want to put this, but it's a kid's show. Yeah, but I want to put this in it.
Well, his background was making quite, graphic adult comics, and they were like, come make us a kid's show.
What was your introduction to Jonan Vasquez?
I'm pretty sure it was Invader Zim. I don't think I knew any of his previous stuff before, but I'm aware of his comic stuff before. What was your introduction?
Mine was a friend of mine lent me a couple of volumes of Lenore. And which is by Roman Dirge, but I think they're friends or they just knew each other because you would get a guest final bit in some episodes of Lenore. There would be just hey, here's a strip from Jonan.
Yeah.
Enjoy. And that was kind of fun, and so that sort of got me. I had a friend who was like, if you like Lenore, you have to read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and I've still never read it.
There is some value in reading it. It's still got some interesting stuff.
I've got I think both volumes of Filler Bunny. I don't know if there's any more of that. I was seriously into that as an edgy 20-something.
Yeah.
But I had this friend, I had the friend who had the internet who downloaded everything and wasn't afraid of LimeWire, who just turn up with CDs and just go, here's a CD of something.
Yeah.
It's okay, I guess we'll watch that. And he was the one that sort of was grabbing all the Invader Zim episodes as they were coming out. Sometimes 3 weeks to get an episode.
Yeah, for anyone who's completely unaware of Invader Zim, it was typical sort of lol so random mid-2000s about an alien who came down to Earth and was trying to take over the world,
But
but
it's really inept.
he was really inept. And, yeah, the series cut off, like, really abruptly. So this basically acted as a big season finale to be like, hey, look, if there's never any more episodes, let's have something that feels like...
Yeah, like nearly 2 decades later,
Yeah.
let's wrap things up.
It feels like a conclusion to something that has been waiting for a conclusion, whereas Rocko's Modern Life felt like it was bringing something back to do something new.
Yeah.
I thought that this was, like, really sweet. It had some really good comic pacing.
Yeah.
Its animation style is
Oh,
beautiful as ever.
Styles.
Well, yes, okay.
Then there's the bit at the beginning with Dib's
Yes.
monologue, and I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that. And then there's, like, obviously the fact that, I mean, I'm sure it probably isn't as pretty as it looks, but I didn't feel like any of it looked out of place to the original series. It felt very much in keeping with it, but now in widescreen.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, a bit later where they go through just, like, a whole different, like, a whole bunch of different art styles, and I was like, that's really good.
Yeah.
You've done a really good job.
Yeah, so, like, the whole point of this was basically season finale territory. What if Alien, who was always bumbling and inept at trying to take over the world, what if they actually managed it once and you had to try and undo that? Which I don't think that's necessarily that's typical season finale formula. It's, what if finally the villain looks like they have actually won and you have to deal with end of the world scenario? And they did it with there was some real heart to it.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
I really felt for Zim in some moments in that.
Yeah, it was nice to see Gaz, like, getting
Yeah.
a decent chunk of that.
Yeah.
Like, and being all gazzy about it.
I really liked the stuff that went on with the dad. I thought was,
Yes.
like, an interesting arc.
Professor Membrane's always been, like, an interesting, like, if slightly, like, almost Nanny from the Muppets type character.
Yeah.
Basically just a larger-than-life character that doesn't really interact with the kids very much.
Yeah.
I would maybe have liked to see more of the school stuff, but it wasn't relevant to the plot.
Yeah.
I just really
yeah.
like Miss Bitters.
That's totally fair.
Lacy children.
Yeah. It was a real fun watch. And, like, I think you could probably watch this without much context from the original show, and you could probably get on and have a fun time watching it, because
As long as you accept the fact that some of it didn't make any sense when it was on the first time. Like Minnie Moose plays quite a... he's quite prominent in this.
He
didn't show up until, like, the last episode of season 2.
He's a MacGuffin.
When they introduced Minnie Moose, I think he's floating around, like, all episode, and then all of a sudden someone goes, "What's with the moose?" And Zim just goes, "That's Minnie Moose. He was here the whole time."
Yeah,
Like,
it's...
what?
all you really need to know to jump into this and have a fun time watching a sort of zany end-of-the-world space adventure is... There's a kid who was the only person who seemed to notice that this alien was here trying to take over the world, and he took stopping that alien very seriously, even if the alien was so inept that he was probably never going to manage it in the first place.
And his dad, who is a mega scientist,
who is very...
just doesn't believe in aliens.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's a literal spaceship in my back garden.
That's a nice fake spaceship.
That's a nice fake spaceship, son. And, like, that's all you really need to know. There's the sort of goth, sibling who's like,
she's brilliant.
I'm just fed up with all of your nonsense. That was just really fun.
It was really fun. It was really nice to get more Zim. Maybe we will see more. Like, I realised the comic books are picking up recently. Like, I think they're up to, like, volume 6 or 7 now.
This really does set up that you could do more Invader Zim.
I think there is a call for it, and I think the fact that, like, cartoons are generally, like, accepting more mature audiences, and like, Invader Zim isn't, like, super crude.
Yeah.
No one swears in it. There isn't, like, a huge amount of just horrific stuff. It suits, like, mid-teen
like,
audience just fine.
For something like this that has a continuing through story stuff, the world of on-demand video really helps for a thing like that to actually be followed.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, that was a problem back in the early 2000s. Didn't have cable.
Yeah.
So, like, I couldn't support those things.
Yeah.
Just, like, that... and since then I've, like, bought comic books. I've got, stuff around it. But, like, it was always very difficult to A, commit to anything that was serialised on a TV channel
Yeah.
throughout the week. B, might not even be broadcast in my part of the world.
Yeah.
The fact that you can pretty much go, it was broadcast, it's not being syndicated anywhere in your country, but you know what, if you want to watch it, like,
Yeah.
you can get it direct from whoever made it. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that those options are available now is awesome.
Yeah.
And the fact that Netflix was just like, hey Jane, you're going to want to watch this. The second I turned it on, it was like, actually, I came here for exactly that. Well done.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad I watched that.
Yeah,
it was a lot
same.
of fun. Have you watched anything else this week?
No, that is me done.
I watched one other thing.
You
Oh,
watched-
actually, I watched two other things.
Oh,
So I'll start with the less important one. I watched some Bob's Burgers.
How was that series doing? I don't think I've watched it since season 2.
Neither have I. I jumped in and just watched some random episodes from season 9 of the animated, family type sitcom shows. Your sort of Simpsons, Family Guy, whatnot. This is still the one that I think is the most enjoyable and palatable. It seems to have the least gross out or punch down humor. It's good and funny, and it's got a nice pace to it, and no disadvantaged groups are the butt of jokes, which I've watched half a season and gone, that's pretty good actually. I remember really enjoying that and not sticking with it and coming back to it. I find it quite fun.
I like some of the individual characters. I just didn't find the show particularly gripping.
No,
I liked things about it. I thought
It's-
it was quite sweet. The family dynamic was
Yeah.
good, but
Here's the thing: it's not the kind of show where it's ooh, I'm desperate for another episode.
Oh.
It doesn't have any of those big emotional moments or through stories that something like a One Day at a Time has. But it's the kind of show that you can tune into literally any episode and go, this is 20 minutes of harmless comedy, cartoon fun.
yeah.
And, sometimes that's just what you want. You want to sit down over lunch and go, I just want to watch something silly and cartoonish and funny for 20 minutes.
And also, when you're trying to do the right thing a decent amount of the time, it can be nice to just sort of go, I'm going to put Bob's Burgers on, because I know it's not going to be personally attacking
Well, that's the thing.
me
Is
or anyone I care about.
it's silly and doesn't require context, and it's nice and
Yeah.
not hurtful.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is stuff there's lots I've not seen.
Oh yeah,
obviously, but
there could be anything between seasons 3 and 8 that I have not come across, but every bit of it I've watched, I've gone, that's just harmless good fun.
people are nice generally.
Yeah, it's been nice to just have something like that to watch. And the last thing, I watched Toy Story 4.
Oh, how that?
So you know how at the end of Toy Story 3, it's you don't need any more of this story, No.
I don't think I've seen 3.
3 is very sweet, and it definitely seems okay, this is an end point. No, I actually really fucking like Toy Story 4. It's really sweet. The basic premise, for anyone who's not seen Toy Story 3, Andy, who was the kid from the first Toy Story who owned all the toys,
Does he now have kids?
he moves off to college. I don't think he's got kids, but long story short, some kid gets very attached to Woody, and he's like, no, that's my toy, and then he eventually goes no, it's okay, this kid's going to get a lot more enjoyment out of them than I am. So he basically gives away all his toys to some kid, and it's a really sweet moment.
Yeah.
And then you follow this new little kid, and it's not retreading the same kind of ground. The basic narrative is she's very nervous on her first day of school, and she ends up making a toy out of a spork and some pipe cleaners. And Forky does not understand the concept of being a toy, because suddenly he's sentient and all he wants to do is be in the trash, because he is trash. And
that's a mood.
yeah, it's big mood. I
Millennial
just want to go relax in some trash, where no one will bother me.
Right.
And you've got this other B story happening at the same time that's about Woody. Basically, he is not this he was Andy's favorite toy. He is not this new kid's favorite toy, and trying to work out what his purpose is now that
He's not the favourite.
he's not the favorite toy. And there's some really interesting narratives about what it means to be wanted versus needed, and about finding your place in the world and the desperation that can come from real sort of loneliness and just that very human need to just be loved. And I did not expect myself to cry at a Toy Story film. Like, the last, 15 minutes of that film, I was fucking bawling. It was sweet as hell. It was, how do I put this? I really like that the primary antagonist of this movie, I felt for them enough to cry for them by the end. And I like the answers Woody finds about what his role is now. And it was just a real sweet, touching, fun movie.
Yay.
Again, another one that's just nice and harmless and very relatable. It definitely feels like it has a lot of content in there that is designed for... Are you an adult that's watching this children's film? We gonna make you feel some feelings. Kids, they can laugh at the silly stuff. You're gonna feel shit.
You're gonna have a bad time.
No, you're gonna have a good time, but a bad time. But a good time. You're
gonna feel a lot of feelings right now.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of feelings that only you understand because you're an adult that's fucking lived some life.
Yep.
So Toy Story 4, fucking recommend that. I very much fucking enjoyed it.
Heck.
I think that's everything we have watched.
I think you are correct.
Well then.
Time for this.
For this?
Laura, we've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
This week's sponsor is Unnatural Box.
What's Unnatural Box?
Have you heard of those snack selection boxes where you do an order and they'll send you a bunch of snacks and they're healthy and good for you?
You can sort of tell them what sort of things you like.
Yeah, nuts and seeds and
maybe a bit of
dried
flapjack,
fruit.
maybe, but a healthy flapjack.
Yeah, the kind of things where they'll put some carob on top.
Yeah,
when you might want chocolate.
Yeah.
How about something that isn't that? How about Unnatural Box? Do you want something that's basically just sugars and chemicals in various combinations? Bright colours, deliciousness, the kind of thing that'll keep you up all night if you have one too late in the day.
Oh, yeah, just give me all of the sugar.
Yeah, purple fizzy thing.
Stuff with that food colouring that was banned because it makes you hyperactive.
Absolutely, stuff that can potentially change your skin colour.
Ooh.
You might end up being dyed permanently green.
Stuff where, the serving size is, half a mouthful, and they don't really advertise that fact. It's oh yeah, no, this is okay if you have, a dab of it.
Yeah, if you're dabbing it like it's some kind of narcotic, you take the thing, you dab it on your tongue, it's so sour, it burns through your tongue. It's the Unnatural Box. Do you want a thing that's a little chewy jawbreakery thing, but literally the second that you crack it open, the liquid centre just burns through your teeth? But it's colourful. Yeah, it'll just give off a nice pink mist. It's the most unnatural thing you can think. That is Unnatural Box.
Heck.
So, head on over to unnaturalbox.lol.net and you can get your first box of snack packs, absolutely free. They'll send you a trial one. You will have to sign up for a 6 months subscription, but you'll get your first one sample version free, and then you'll just pay extortionate amounts for the rest of them. But you've got the opportunity for having wacky, zany tooth rippers.
Yeah.
And
heart exploder sugar drops.
And, it's the stuff that's like popcorn, but it's you know how they do popcorn chicken?
Yeah.
And it's just, small bits of chicken?
Yeah.
They do popcorn sugar.
Ooh.
It's deep-fried sugar in a sugar batter.
Hey. And you know the best part?
Yeah?
If you happen to accidentally pass away from having too much Unnatural Box, your subscription doesn't cancel.
Absolutely, so your relatives will have something to eat at the wake.
Exactly!
Right.
They'll feel much better after copious amounts of sugar.
That's Unnatural Box. Try it today!
I know I will.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying it right now.
inside the boardroom of Electronic Active Softworks.
Hi.
Hi.
How's your day of meetings been?
Well, I have drunk a lot of coffee. I flogged some interns. I sacked a bunch of people. That was good. I made an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
It's been generally positive. I could have done with more cake.
Yeah. So I've been working on a new idea.
Yeah.
Are you ready to hear what I've been
Always.
working on? You know how we do DLC.
Yeah.
That's the thing we do. We
You
sell the
love
game
that
and
DLC.
we make more things to sell more things.
As
we make
much
more
as
money.
possible.
Yeah. So season passes are a thing. We upfront say, hey, buy all of our DLC.
Hey, we might finish making this shit.
Yeah. So I've got an idea.
Yeah.
We announced that we're doing a season pass, up front. We say, this game's going to have a season pass. After launch, we will release additional content. You should buy it with the game, at the same time as you buy the game. Because you get, 30 pence off or something. You get some very tiny discount for buying it up front.
We're not made... we are made of money, but
No.
we're not letting them have any of it.
Yeah. So, we encourage them with a, tiny discount up front to get
Yeah.
the season pass before it's out. But,
Yeah.
we don't announce up front what's going to be in the season pass.
Why would we, right?
We follow the model of that fighting game season pass, where we say there'll be 5 bits of DLC, but it's a surprise. It's so that we pitch it like it's so that you can get surprised when we reveal the DLC later after launch, after you've bought it.
Yeah, it's a nice treat for them. It's a surprise mechanic, if you will.
Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
By doing that, we
Right.
build up hype.
Yeah.
Build up hype. What on earth could be in the DLC? And then we make it stuff that would never be worth buying the DLC for. Low effort stuff. Stuff that's really cheap for us to produce.
Yeah, like
'Cause at that
skins.
Yeah,
Kind of cosmetic items.
different colors of, we painted this green.
Ooh, a nice palette swap.
Yeah, but,
those are cheap.
Here's the kicker.
Yeah.
Because we sold them the season pass, when the game came out, we leave it
Yeah.
a month or two before we announce what's in it.
Yeah.
At that point, their console's 2-week refund period, that's expired. We leave it just long enough to tell them what's in the season pass that they can't refund the season pass.
How about this? We drip out, slowly, over a period of months, what's going to be in the season pass. So, we'll say there's going to be, big thing. People want the big thing, right?
Yeah.
But, that's to come. But, first of all, here's a palette swap for one character. Here's a piece of armor that's not even that good if you're past the first 30 minutes of the game. Here's just something and keep people hooked, keep people coming to the game. They'll be like, hey, that big thing is coming, and then maybe we just drop support for it.
You are fucking genius.
I know. So. What slid into your ears?
My ears?
Your ears?
Not a lot this week.
No?
I've been listening to a really nice sort of background mix.
Ooh.
Nintendo and Lo-Fi
Ooh.
by the YouTube channel Nintendo and Chill.
Oh. This is with the Sleepy Togepi and the Sleepy Pikachu.
Yeah, it's basically. Do you like those the videos with the girl studying with the headphones on? Those good relaxing background beats. That, but little bits of Pokemon and Nintendo melodies that sort of pop up in it.
Nice.
If you want a little bit of just casual, not too intrusive Nintendo-y inspired stuff in the background while you work, that's a real nice little mix.
I listened to the Zelda and Lo-Fi.
Oh,
recently.
that Zelda and Lo-Fi one is good,
It's
isn't
very
it?
nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It was good for while I was sitting there doing a program on Saturday.
It was good while I was sat doing my review of Telling Lies. What about you? What have you listened to?
I listened to some more. I listened to some more Transglobal Underground.
Ooh, that band What We Saw.
That band, What We Saw.
Pretty recently.
Pretty recently. Because I really only know one of their tracks, which is Templehead.
Yes. The one that you
big fan
heard
of
from
that.
across the field and were like, oh shit, we
We have
gotta
to
go.
go. We have to go
We gotta
now.
go. The one that makes our friend do the wildest of stomps.
Oh, God, that is the most pure and beautiful
I've
thing.
never seen someone do such a beautiful dance as our friend hearing Templehead.
Yeah. So, do you remember straight after that they played another track that sounded very sort of like London Cockney Knees Up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the track I'd been trying to find. It's on the album The Stone Turntable, and
Okay.
it's called We're Gonna Tear Your Walls Down.
Oh, that's a good title.
And, it's a different version to the version we heard live, but,
Yeah.
I really love the energy of it.
Okay, I might need to, like, open a tab now to listen to that later.
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do like the energy of that, and I think the thing they said at the gig was, from Templehead, one of their very first songs, to one of their very most recent songs, we come to tear you all down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed that. I like the energy of that. It's
I very much remember enjoying it when it was happening live.
yeah, and the crowd went wild.
Indeed, I'm very curious to hear it in proper headphones in the sober light of day.
And with a different singer.
Indeed, yeah.
Because it's not the singer that we heard. Different vocalist is very good. But yeah, what about you? You listen to so much else?
I've mainly been, I've not got much to add on it. I've mainly been listening to the bands that we will have seen live by the time that this episode goes up. But I have not yet, so I went back and listened to some more Laura Jane Grace and the Devouring Mothers.
I've not listened to any of their stuff.
I've been very much enjoying their album that they recently did. What is the name of it? I've got it right here. Bought to Rot.
Ooh.
It's just got real good fun femme vocal punk energy. It's, do you just want some good you can have a proper stomp down the street feeling very powerful kind of melodic punk.
Yeah.
So I've been really enjoying that, and it's been really getting me in the mood for Thursday. I'm ready to have a good I'm ready to have a good mosh. And what about you? Have you listened to anything else?
Not really. I've mostly been listening to podcasts. I've started listening to Adventure Zone Balance again.
Yeah.
All the way from the start. I've just started Crystal Kingdom tonight.
Oh, the Crystal Kingdom, yeah.
Which is my least favourite.
It's my least favourite, but it's the one just before my favourite, which is the Suffering game.
Oh god, that's so grueling.
It is, but I fucking love the Suffering game.
I love these characters, and they're going through so much horrible stuff.
I know, but they go through so much growth.
It's true. But also, I wasn't a huge fan of Petals to the Metal.
Yeah, I
felt like that one goes on a bit. I love the some of the stuff about the race, the idea of coming up with all the different designs for the vehicles. But
I love the general concept of that season, but of that arc. But I think that there were definitely some story beats that could have been cut, and that nothing would have been lost.
Yeah, but you do meet some interesting characters there, and I think that's about the time Griffin's really, really getting into his swing as DM.
It's also when he's really getting into the idea of what his overarching plot is going to be.
Yeah. So there was that, and then I caught this week's Adventure Zone Amnesty.
Oh shit! Yeah.
We're getting to the end of that, aren't we?
Oh, fuck yeah.
I am very ready to take the time out and listen all the way through Amnesty from start to finish.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I got more out of Adventure Zone Balance because I came to it when it was already 40 or 50 something episodes in.
I honestly feel this about every D&D podcast, even the one I am the ones I've been on.
Yeah.
I get a lot more by listening in the whole thing in a big batch.
Yeah.
And getting really immersed in.
When we had that sort of period off of doing badly designated heroes, I was my memory's shit. My notes are unclear. They made sense at the time I wrote them, trying to carefully scramble down things, but didn't make a huge amount of sense to me when I came back to them a month or so later. So I listened all the way through Badly Designated. It was oh, okay, that's, actually, this show goes some places better than I thought it did at the time.
I'm really excited to have that re-listen with Amnesty.
Yeah, definitely. Because I spot the overarching things a bit better.
Oh, God,
I can put pieces together so much better if I'm not waiting 2 weeks between episodes.
Well, also, once you know the end game, you can go oh shit, that fucking foreshadowing.
Well, I remember you talking about that when I was going through Balance the first time, and you were oh yeah, I've just started it again, and oh my god, these things right at the beginning, and you're obviously talking about finding the Umbra Staff in the cave right at the beginning.
Well, there's stuff there are some very direct questions that the Taz group ask about the Red Robes.
Yes.
there's some very interesting comments, like Griffin's description of the sort of surprise and slight disappointment, or like slight sadness when the Taz boys first walk in, where it's like, oh shit, she didn't expect to see them back. Oh no, them.
Indeed.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's like really interesting on a re-listen, and really sad sometimes.
Yeah, there's that, because you're like,
oh my god,
no.
all of the Davenport shit where all he says is Davenport is.
You could tell that wasn't like an immediate from the beginning decision.
No, the first time Davenport shows up, he talks in sentences.
He's fairly chatty.
Yeah.
And then, like, once Griffin sort of settled into it a bit, he does basically turn into a Pokemon.
He basically turns into a Pokemon, and it's like, haha, that's... Oh god, fuck.
Yeah, because then obviously the conclusion of that comes and you're like, Davenport.
Oh my god, that whole bit where everyone is forgetting,
yes,
fucking breaks my heart. Oh,
it's that there's that beautiful animatic of that.
Yeah,
who was it? Was it somebody got you into the series, or you got somebody else into the series?
I believe
of that
it was.
animatic?
I believe it was Becky and Makita got me into it based on that animatic, where they showed me this very sad thing of people forgetting things, all sort of animated, and I was like, oh fuck, I need to watch whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah, I mean, I do find that whole section like quite uncomfortable because like there's dementia in my family.
Yeah,
so
there is
people do like going through that moment, just like
there is dementia from brain tumors in my family. Like,
high five,
woo, hey, I've had many a worry about my own memory, but
same.
I don't think it diminishes how like beautiful and sad that whole scene
but
is.
I think that adds like the proximity of it can add a certain like extra pull.
Yeah, if you've experienced relatives losing their memory of where they are, who they are, it can like that kind of thing.
Who you are.
Like, yeah, who you are. Like I've had relatives who can't remember who I am, and that's quite a fucking thing. And then
my nan, who basically raised me, was constantly calling me either my dad or my aunt's name.
Yeah, I had a lot of that with my gran. Yeah. It's a thing.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and I think that this captures the sadness of that real well.
Definitely.
Any other thoughts on that?
No, I think that's basically it. Just ready to listen to the whole thing through.
I'm ready for those last two episodes, because this episode ended on a fucking banger.
Mm-hmm.
At
this rate, like I'll be able to get all the way through Balance and then immediately go straight into Amnesty, and then maybe be ready just by the end. It's like, oh shit.
The only other thing I've listened to is, again, in preparation for the gig we're going to this week, I listened to some Frank Iero, who was that guy who was in My Chemical Romance and now does his own solo things.
How like good guitar boy.
I've been once again really enjoying his like definitely a bit angrier, a little bit angry and a little bit more punchy rock than say Laura Jane Grace's stuff. Mm-hmm. But a couple of tracks I've been really enjoying again. She's the prettiest girl at the party, and she can prove it with a solid right hook. It feels a lot like a fucking Panic at the Disco song title, that one, with its length. I really enjoyed Stitches, Joyriding, Stage 4, Fear of Trying is a really nice track. Those are the ones I've been listening to mainly, but I've basically just been going back through his album Stomachaches and getting ready for some sort of punk.
Okay, you might have to send me a sample list to...
I'll send you a couple of tracks.
A primer.
I'll give you
Frank Iero primer.
It's not as scary as I'm making it sound, but I'll send you a couple of tracks to go like, here's the sort of thing to expect.
I know at some point during that gig there's just going to be a moment when everyone fucking erupts because it's the anthemic track that everyone knows, and I'm just going to be like...
I will send
this is a good tune.
I will send you like 2, maybe 3 tracks tonight, and go like, these are maybe the 2 or 3 tracks to go. Have a listen to these ones.
Yes. The rhythm structure of these.
Yeah, get the sort of the pacing of these sorted. Yeah, is that everything you've listened to?
That is everything I have listened to.
Well then, time for this.
Ooh.
what's that?
Yeah.
So, did you know?
Yeah.
That MDF.
What's made up of other wood glued together?
Yeah,
the
like
cheap
that,
stuff.
yeah, like the like not chipboard,
No,
but like
no.
MDF.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that is a government spying device? Designed to monitor the poor.
Oh, yeah, because, like, it's poor people wood. It's affordable wood.
It's affordable wood. Anyone can get it.
Yeah,
And that's why there's always a sale on it at DFS.
Oh, yeah, they're trying to encourage everyone getting their MDF.
Yeah, get your MDF furniture.
Yeah.
All the furniture's in the house. And then it's all spying on you, right?
Yeah.
Feeding back all your information, like what you've been up to, where you've been going, what the cat did.
But, like, a lot of my wood is MDF.
Well, you might want to think about getting, like, some kind of throw for that, yeah?
What, you just put a blanket over it? I don't need to get, like, mahogany or something.
No, I mean, like, mahogany's really expensive.
Well, that's what I was worried about. I can't afford to not be spied on.
You can't afford not to be spied
on. But I can't afford to be spied on.
Well, I mean, we're all getting spied on. Like,
well, yeah, but like not by my wood though.
Well, is it even wood? Is it not? Just a government, like super agent that they've just managed to press into a wood-like substance, and just as a means of spying on us, just do the furniture observation of us, measuring your butt when you sit down.
Oh no!
Yeah, like someone up in Whitehall or something. Yeah, they're judging you every time you put your feet on the sofa.
Oh no! Don't
every single time.
I don't want that.
Well, you.
That's my judgment-free time.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing. Someone's always judging you.
Yeah.
If you let out a bit of a fart.
Oh no! Do they know?
They're knowing.
Well,
that.
even that quiet one. What? No one noticed.
There's vibration sensors in the MDF. That's how they keep an eye on you.
What if I just keep farting on the MDF until they stop listening?
I mean, it's the government. They're probably into that.
Yeah, fair.
Hello, and welcome to another public information film. Today's subject, the dangers of rolling over when there are multiple people in the bed.
Indeed, there was a tale we were once told about 10 people sharing one sleeping arrangement.
Imagine it. Perhaps they had come together for warmth or camaraderie.
However, one of these 10 required to roll over, and the results were quite catastrophic.
Indeed, it is believed that it was the smallest of their number who had stated that perhaps they should all attempt to roll over.
So they all rolled over. One fell out
and bumped their head. See now the danger of rolling over when there are so many sharing a bed.
Indeed.
Make sure you take precautions.
Movements for one are movements for all.
Indeed. Consider wearing a hard hat, perhaps some knee pads, or an elbow pad.
Or, if you happen to want to keep many people in one room sleeping together, perhaps invest in multiple beds connected together, or a floor made of mattresses.
Indeed, there is nothing wrong with pushing several mattresses together when you have all of your cuties coming around for a snuggle.
Indeed. Make the ultimate bed, or make the ultimate sacrifice.
Question time, stuff questions.
What's the question?
Tricky would like to know, are there any bits of poetry either of you quite like?
Oh, poetry's a thing that I really like. I don't remember a lot of poems, and I've enjoyed poetry as an art, but just like I don't remember a lot of poems. Have you got any poems you really like?
I can tell you, like, a poet I quite like. Aiden with 2 A's on Facebook has a Facebook group, writes lots of sort of angry and queer poetry. Simply Everyone's Taking Cocaine by Murray Laughlin Young.
Oh, yes.
He's got an amazing voice and he reads it so well.
Yes, I'm aware
occasionally chuckling.
I'm aware of this particular spoken word poem.
I mean, I don't approve of cocaine at all.
No,
as far as drugs go. It's one of the most harmful ones.
Yeah, in many senses.
Environmentally, as well as, like, will do you a bad.
Yeah, but the poem itself is...
hilarious.
It's rather hilarious.
Yes.
I love the slightly...
doing lines up straight up the butt.
Yes, it's a very good poem, even if we don't endorse following its content.
Yes, it's entertaining.
Yes.
Have you got any others?
No, I really don't have much to add in the way of poetry, and I feel kind of sad about that. I feel like I need to go do a poetry corner and come back later.
The classics. I got really into Rime of the Ancient Mariner for a while.
Oh, Rime of the Ancient Mariner is pretty great.
I think because I was really into Iron Maiden as a kid, and they do like a 13-minute track of the Ancient Mariner, which is nicely narrated and for Maiden, like, surprisingly melodic. Like, and slow, in a slow way. The Raven.
Oh yeah, The Raven.
I think ever since I saw the Simpsons version of The Raven read by James L. Jones, like, beautiful voice, bizarre poem. Like, but one of my favourite poems is by Joel Matheson.
Yeah.
It's called We've Come to Be Danced.
Okay.
Do you know this one?
No.
We've come to be danced, not the pretty dance, not the pretty pick me dance, but the claw our way back into the belly of the sacred sensual animal dance, the unhinged, unplugged cat out of its box dance, the holding the precious moment in the palms of our hand and feet dance. We've come to be danced, not the jiffy booby shake your booty for him dance, but the wring the sagness from our skin dance, the blow the chip off our shoulder dance, the slap the apology from our posture dance. We have come to be danced, not the monkey see, monkey do dance, 1, 2 dance like you dance, 1, 2, 3 dance like me dance, but the grave robber, tomb stalker, tearing scabs and scars open dance, the rub the rhythm roar against our soul dance. We have come to be danced. Not the invisible dance, self-conscious shuffle, the matted hair flying voodoo mama, shaman shaking ancient bones dance, the strip us from our casings, return our wings, sharpen our claws and tongues dance, the shed the dead cells and slip into luminous skin of love dance. We have come to be danced. Not the hold our breath and wallow in the shallow end of the floor dance, but the meeting of the Trinity, the body, breath and beat dance, the shout hallelujah from the top of our thighs dance, the mother may I, yes you may, take 10 giant leaps dance, the ollie ollie oxen free dance, the everyone can come to our heaven dance. We have come to be danced, where the kingdoms collide, in the cathedral of flesh, to burn back into the light, to unravel, to play, to fly, to pray, to root in skin sanctuary. We have come to be danced.
That's really fucking beautiful.
Yes.
Heck. Thank you for having good poems to suggest. I'm sorry, I had nothing to contribute to this.
Hey, well, yeah. I mean, there's a poem by you that I have saved.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to read that on the thing.
No.
I'm a big fan of that.
Hey. Mwah.
I saved it. I read it sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
I've tried to write poetry here and there.
I quite like some of my poetry. Like some of the I do stream of consciousness poems.
Yeah, like I think the ones I've tried to do have been that sort of thing as well, I think.
Like things that, like, you'll get halfway through what sounds like a sentence and then it'll just change completely, and then it'll just do word association stuff, and then it'll be something else completely, but ultimately it still ends up with this real visceral sense of something.
I like the idea in poetry of deliberately changing sentence length in order to associate an energy with it. Like, you know, you've got more complete thoughts, but as things get more frantic, they get to shorter...
Like beat poetry.
Yeah, they can become shorter single words sometimes. And like that sort of portrays the coherence of the thought or the energy of the thought sometimes. I like that in poetry.
Yeah.
I also like sort of like interesting uses of repetition.
Mm.
Can be interesting sometimes.
Yes, to sort of drive things, and sometimes like having just a line that repeats, but like the meaning changes because of the context around it. I also like those, not palindromic, but the ones you can read backwards and forwards.
Yes,
like where it's like 3 or 4 words per line, but when you read it one way, it's got one context, and then you read it the other way, it's got something completely different.
I like poetry as an art form. I need to engage with it more often. Maybe one of these weeks I will put some poetry in my eyes.
If we have more free time.
Yeah.
Athena Paradigm would like to know, why does Wario have no chest hair in Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2020?
Because the same... one of the sports he does in that game is swimming, and swimmers shave off their chest hair because it makes them more aerodynamic in the water.
So he's worried about drag.
Yeah, like, you will notice, like, Olympic swimmers never have chest hair.
Well, some of them didn't even have any facial hair.
Well, exactly.
Or head hair, rather.
Yeah, they
Duncan Goodhue was
I believe so.
known for being a ball swimmer.
A lot of them will remove any hair possible, and I think that's what Mario's done.
Wario.
Wario. Yeah. All of them.
No, I think they've probably still kept the moustaches, and I think of the moustaches, Wario's sort of
it's very angular.
There.
Maybe it's angular enough to cut
Waluigi's
through
probably
the water.
got the more aerodynamic moustache. But that wasn't the question.
No.
Who's got the most aerodynamic hair in all of...
Well, that's my answer.
I feel like Sonic's going to get some drag there for the water events.
Yeah, probably.
Between spines. I feel like that's the thing.
He drowns as soon as he touches water in the main games. Like, he gets knee-high...
Like, Sonic 1, like...
Okay.
You're going to be getting to the end of the pool and it's going to be like... Ding, ding,
okay.
Ding, 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 ding,
in the
ding,
modern
ding,
3D
ding,
games,
ding,
he can't
ding,
get
ding,
more
ding,
than
ding.
knee-high in water before he drowns.
Oh, heck.
Yeah.
Oh, the horrible noise. Jason Lee would like to know, what environment has the most untapped potential for a future video game, and what genre of game would you like to see in it?
You got any answers for this?
I'd like to see a horror game set in a human brain. Like, the surrealist environment.
So you want, like, a horror version of Psychonauts?
I want, like, them to make a really good game of the concept from the movie The Cell.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, weird surrealist images that are essentially real in that moment, but like a world that can spread and change, and the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Like, the Imaginarium is supposed to be within brain, within sort of that mindscape and that area. Just like, I like the idea of the surreal, but like a really good horror movie, and that like you don't know what's real, you don't know what's happening, and rather than it being, hey, we have externalized the things, like, no, we're going into the brain to deal with it.
You've got a better answer than I have. I was going to say, like, I like the idea of a game that really relies on setting itself in one very small, very confined area where, like, the tension can come from, like, getting a little bit stir-crazy because you're trapped in this one small space. Like, I like the idea of a game, again, maybe a horror experience of some kind set in just, like, a bomb shelter, like an underground bomb bunker or something, where it's like, you've had to enter this very small space and you cannot leave for a while because you don't know if it's safe outside. Maybe just like a panic room or something. But setting a very tense experience in a very detailed, very small space where there's a lot of things to explore, but doing so means probably looking away from the other person who's in there and, you know, getting suspicious of yourself just because paranoia, because there's only one other person in there, so surely they're the problem, right?
Vault-Tech spin-off?
Yeah,
like before the vault's open? In one of the, like, more, like, we're gonna fuck with you type vaults?
Yeah, I like that as a concept that I don't think gets done often enough. Like, something like PT almost did that, where it relied on, like, a very, you know, that was much more based on...
within, like,
a
small...
I like the idea of repetition within environments that you feel like you know very well at a certain point.
Lucy Nevins would like to know, if you could turn into an animal, what would it be? I'd be a giant rainbow battle lynx.
I'd be a bunny.
I'd have giant paws and big ol' floofy.
I'd just be a cute little bunny.
A little floofy bunny.
Little floofy bunny.
Would you ride the giant battle lynx around?
Yes, it'd be amazing.
Just a bunny mounted on the back of a giant lynx.
Exactly. I'm glad you understand.
Yeah, I'm very into this.
Yeah.
Nobody messes with my bunny. I have the big paws.
I'm gonna be a cute little bun.
Kitty and Bun,
Kitty and Bun.
Oh, we can carry Smudge around with us too.
Oh, heck.
Big kitty, little kitty, not a cardboard bun. Andrew Neal would like to know, if you could set a D&D campaign in a video game world, what worlds and who's your fantasy DM?
Oh. I'd love to play like a Mass Effect D&D type campaign. Like, I'd love to just play a big. I feel like I already kind of did that. We had the space season of Dice Funk, but I love the idea of just like heavily leaning into the existing lore of like a Mass Effect or something. What about you?
I'd like to see if it would be possible to do like a Silent Hill D&D campaign. I think you'd have to do it as like a solo. Like, I think you would need a decent amount of backstory for the DM to come and like go
really tailor the campaign.
I'm okay. So this tragic thing has happened in your life. How about that didn't happen? That's just how you remember it. Actually, you did something horrible.
Yeah.
And these are the psychological aspects of that are haunting you, and you're gonna have to uncover that.
I've remembered one that I would like to do.
Yes.
I'd love the idea of like a Persona themed D&D campaign where it's like you've basically got sort of like a more modern version of like the Shardpoint D&D thing, where it's like you've got the school setting and you do your school stuff, and then you've got to go off and save the world in your weekends.
Okay.
And you sort of use the week to like do your downtime stuff, like building your relationships and doing your like leveling up, and then at the weekends it's like, right, time to go do our mystical shit that no one can know about, that's sort of tied into what we did during the week.
I feel like Tales from the Loop has the potential for that sort of thing.
Yeah, like there are definitely campaigns that have like touched on that idea. And who's your dream DM?
Adam Coble?
Yeah.
I promise not to perv on him too much.
I would love to do a campaign DM by Griffin.
Yeah.
I'd be very into that.
I don't know if Griffin can go dark enough for the sort of thing I would like to do.
Actually,
I would love to play with Griffin.
Yeah.
But like that wouldn't be like the what is your fantasy D&D campaign to do.
That's fair. Actually, you know who my perfect DMs would be? Austin Jaworski and Jane Magnet.
Oh heck.
Mwah.
I'm so honoured I got mentioned in the same breath as Austin. Jesus. Listen to Polyamory, there's a new series coming out.
Oh, heck.
Basin is back, would like to know, how are your episode names generated? Is it wholly random or is it based on the content of the episode? I assume we're talking about Queer and Pleasant Strangers.
Yeah.
You edit the chat, I edit the skits, and then I do the compile and put the interstitial tunes in.
Yeah, and you sort of skim through.
I tend to skim through maybe the first 10 or 15 minutes. Like, I'll just click here and there, and pretty much, like, I'll listen to a couple of words and then go, that's a good word, those are good words. It's very rare that they're in the same sentence.
Yeah, they're usually fun, randomly picked good words that came up in conversation that
then go well together.
Yeah. They go well together, but are related to conversations we had on the show.
And I usually try and avoid anything that comes up in the skits. Or that is like the name of like the actual game that we talk about necessarily.
Yeah. You try and make it stuff that's less time sensitive than that.
Becky Toohill. Hi, Becky.
Hi.
You're given an open mic and told to do anything you like to keep the crowd entertained while they wait for the actual act to come on. What do?
Oh no, this is the worst situation.
Right?
If the whole point is to entertain them, I have one thing prepared that I could do off the cuff.
Yeah?
That I could fill an hour with if I needed to. I'll do that presentation, that keynote I did at Gamer X.
About butts?
Yeah, I'll do the video game butts presentation.
You still remember that?
I remember enough of it, and I remember enough bullet points. It might not be an identical presentation.
You could vamp it.
Oh, I could make an hour-long presentation, like, on the fly about video game character butts, and assuming that the audience is an audience that would be receptive to that, like, keep it to your Marios, your Sonics, your Pikachus, your characters that everyone's gonna know.
Yeah.
I reckon I could keep an audience entertained with, let's talk about video game character butts for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably try some of my old stand-up. If they knew who I was, if they knew this show, I might just try doing some silly voices for them. And see if I could entertain them. Let's do Q&A, shall we?
Yes.
Who's got a question?
Oh, yes.
Does it come with sherry?
Oh,
yes, okay. Yeah, that, like... Or just see how many voices I could get through in
Yeah.
an hour.
Well, you probably wouldn't have to fill an hour. Like, I put the hour-long thing in my own question there. I think it's just vamp for time until the main act arrives.
I'm happy to put the time at an hour. I would try and do some funnies, maybe pull out some, like, Stone Monkey Radio stuff, like Invisible Bob, or maybe I'd just try and come up with a Mandy Wise horoscopes on the fly. Stomp-a-size with Mandy Wise, a video that no one will ever see. The first appearance of Mandy Wise, basically I dressed up in all of my neon and did a fake exercise video in my living room.
Heck.
It was ridiculous.
In the best way.
It was a bit shit. And a bit silly. Calorie Gooder would like to know if you could drop everything and travel to your heart's content, exploring everything the world has to offer and never needing to worry about money, but in exchange you would never be able to write, make podcasts, stream, vlog, etc. at all, would you?
Okay, so we can travel to our heart's desire, but we can't share those stories with the world.
Well, we can't blog or write about it.
Yeah.
I like the idea that perhaps we could sit around a campfire and talk about it with people and share stories.
Yeah,
I think sharing stories is a fundamentally human aspect.
Yeah, here's the thing, like, I got into the job I got into because almost as much as experiences themselves, I love talking with people about those experiences, and, like, I feel so privileged that I've ended up being able to make that what I do full time. I don't think I would trade having more experiences for being able to communicate less about those experiences. Like, I think right now I'm experiencing enough things in my life. I'm happy enough with that. Like, I've reached a lucky enough equilibrium where I do get to explore a lot of things. So I'm not going to take that trade.
No, I don't think I would do. Like, there's lots of the world I'd like to see, but ultimately, like, what makes me happy is trying to make other people happy.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes from, what did I do this week that I can try and make a joke about?
Exactly. Like, I don't think I would be as happy if I didn't get to talk about the things I did.
Yeah.
It's what makes me happy.
You do. I like sharing things with people.
Yeah.
I want to share. I don't want to be a capitalist about my experiences.
Yeah, you don't want to have these experiences and be like, and that's my experience, and no one else can share it.
No, no one will know about
This
the
is
silly
for
thing
me.
that happened. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Larry Yellingman says, hi Larry. His coconut gun can fire in spurts. If he shoots you, it's gonna hurt. He's bigger, faster, and stronger too. Who's this member of the DK crew?
Oh goodness, I should know this.
Please phrase your response in the form of a question.
Who is Diddy Kong? He's the one with the coconut gun that fires in spurts. If you shoot it's gonna hurt. I think
know.
maybe I'm wrong.
My only other option would have been, what is Funky Kong?
Oh yeah,
is that
it is.
not DK?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
It's Donkey.
that's Donkey Kong. I didn't think it was Donkey Kong that had a coconut gun.
Well, apparently he's armed. So the correct answer, I believe, was what is Donkey Kong?
What? Who is Donkey Kong? What is Donkey Kong?
Who is Donkey Kong for 600?
Apparently, oh no, Diddy Kong has a peanut gun in Smash Brothers. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh heck!
I was thinking of a Donkey Kong character that I'd used a gun with. Don't give gorillas guns.
No, it could end up very dangerous. And anyway, they already have bananas that they can hold like a gun and go pew pew.
Yeah.
What more do you want, right?
Well, apparently, real guns.
Real guns don't. No, give the guns, please.
No.
No, give guns.
No guns. What
No
if?
guns.
What if no guns?
What if no guns? That is all the questions.
All of them.
All of the questions.
Well then, time for this.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social Justice Warriors.
Social Justice Warriors.
Social Justice Warriors.
Alright, Larry.
Alright, Barry, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad, mate, not too bad. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm alright. It's a long week. My throat's been blowing up.
Yeah, same. I think we might have to keep this conversation fairly short.
Yeah, it's one of those weeks,
It feels like there's been a lot of talking this week.
Yeah. What's, how's your week been going, though? You, anything on your mind this week?
Well, you know, I've been pretty busy. Got a lot on work-wise, really. You know, it's the end of that. We've just had this long weekend. I still had a few things to do around the house, and then what I really wanted to do was just, take a bit of time to relax and
recover.
Recover, It's not like I'm pretty busy most of the time, so it was important to sort of, do that bit of recovery.
Yeah. I had one of those recently, and someone invited me out. Said sort of, you're free Thursday night, and I was a little sort of like, quietly to myself. I said, I am technically free. I've got Thursday night free. I don't have anything that needs to happen Thursday night. I'm just going to be sitting around, but also, that time was important for me. I'd sort of been looking forward to it. It was some recovery time. It was time that...
self-care.
Yeah, some time that I wasn't doing anything vital with it, on a calendar. It wasn't time that was, already accounted for.
But that time off in itself was the thing that needed to be done.
Yeah, so, I said to my friend, I'm busy. I'm sorry. I can't come out today. And I felt a little twinge of maybe I felt a little bit of guilt over it because I felt like is that being deceptive? But I think it's important to recognise that you don't have to have every minute accounted for to be busy, to not be free for something.
Well, exactly. Even if you're not, strictly speaking, a spoonie, the fact that you might have to, have a little bit of a recharge, there's, really nothing wrong with that, needing that time to just recover, relax, and sort of self-care, just sort things out a bit. Just get things a little bit in order and take that time to reset. And it can be difficult. Some people who don't, have those needs for their own mental well-being can see that as, either you're blowing them off or being conceited or, that you don't value them.
Yeah, like I've occasionally had the, sometimes you'll talk to someone and I'll invite them to something, they'll be like, I can't come along, and then you might see them on social media, having a tweet or something, or you might see them pop up as playing a video game on their console or something. It's like, I know there's the urge to go, I feel a little misled, but you got to go. Maybe that is important for them right now, and they need that to, for their own comfort and to sort themselves out. Maybe they're not feeling social or something.
No.
You got to resist that urge to go. This means that you lied about being busy, because it's a gut reaction, and it's something that I know I've got. I value when other people recognise that for me, and I've got to make sure I'm good at recognising that in other people.
Absolutely, it's very important to take care of those things and to have that moment of downtime. Like, people talk, we live in a very switched on age, so it's more important than ever. They talk about the fact that people just don't switch off. People don't have, like, an hour of quiet in maybe even a whole week, just an hour of just
nothing.
Quiet, no input from the outside.
An hour of time to do your own stuff in your own head.
Yeah, and it's. I don't even think it's necessarily about mindfulness.
No, it's just
to give it that name. Like, I think it is just about needing to have a bit of a disconnect from all of the everything.
Yeah. I could not agree with you more.
Yeah. Well, mate, should we have the hug? You up for that?
Yeah, I'm up for that.
Yeah. That's a good hug, mate.
It's a good hug,
So, shall I pop the kettle?
Yeah, have a cup of tea.
Nice. Laura?
Yes?
Where can we find you on the internet, darling?
Laura K. Buzz in most of the places. Laura K. Buzz on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. If you can afford to chuck me $1 a month or similar in your local currency, that would really help to keep paying the bills. Mm-hmm. There is laurakbuzz.com, where I post links to all of the things I do. There is a bunch of them. I do some stuff for Sci-Fi Fangirls. I publish... I'm on Dice Funk. It's a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. I'm on seasons...
You should listen to that.
Yeah, I'm on seasons 3, 4, 5, and 6. And yeah, you should listen to that for No particular reason.
No particular reason.
This week, the episode, the episode that goes up the same day as this. Maybe go listen to it.
Maybe go and listen to that.
Yeah.
Wink.
Wink. So there's that. I'm on Podquisition. I'm on Pixel Squirt. It's a podcast where me and Mari and Stacey from Geek Remix will talk about video game porn. Tonal Whiplash. I will occasionally do silly and serious alternating question interviews with people. I've got a book, Uncomfortable Labels. It's out now as a paperback book and also as an audiobook that you can get from laurakbuzzstore.com. There is Things I Learned from Mario's Butt, which is releasing hopefully very soon. What about you, Jane?
Where am I? I'm Maniac Janiac on Twitter and YouTube. I'm on soundcloud.com/Jane Magnet, where you might be listening to this now. God, it's been a while since I've done that bit.
Yeah.
I'm on that Curiosity Epidemic show, the Badly Designated Heroes, the first season of which is very nearly at the end.
Heck.
Which means I've only got a little while left to finish writing the campaign for Polyarmory Season 2. All of that stuff is moving over to the Stone Monkey Radio channel. So my Jane Magnet on SoundCloud, because we didn't see the point in paying double for hosting. Yeah. So I'm hosting it all now.
Oh, heck.
Mm-hmm. The power, the absolute power. I mean, I had all the passwords anyway, so. Yeah, and I'm stonemonkeyradio.blog, where I've just put up my Dragon Quest Builders 2 review. I should have a review for Medan going up, possibly before this episode comes out, so if you haven't looked at it already,
hopefully for embargo.
Embargo.
You know me, daddy, me, snow me like a flame. I like you, bum bum down.
Indeed.
Yeah, I remember those words.
Yeah, you do. Where else am I? Oh, paypal.me/Jane Magnet if you want to send me a one-off, or patreon.com/StonerMonkeyRadio. People who are Patreons will be getting my text adventure, what I did a write of in the next month or so, I guess. It needs some playtesting, and it needs finishing, obviously, but I think I'm nearly there. And that means that people can play it. As I said, initially, about 3 months or so, I'm going to make sure that my Patreons are exclusive to that, but then I will release it sort of more generally, so that everyone gets a go, because I appreciate everyone. And if you can't afford to support me, I don't think that should mean you get entirely locked out of the thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is my things. Thank you very much for all the people who do a support on that. I'm very much appreciative of that. So Laura,
Yeah?
sing us out, my darling.
Until next time, be a stranger.